It's 8 a.m. once again, and we are back with Wake Up Cricket powered by Pavilion Picks. Sri Lanka stunned Australia last night, but more than that, Nisanka scores. I mean, more than that. I mean, Sri Lanka stunned Australia last night, and Nisanka becomes the first bat in the World Cup to score a century. But more than that, he breaks a record of his own coach. Now, before we get into all of that and talk about everything that happened in cricket last night, hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 100 subs.
Get us there.
Going with the show, we have a potential controversy first up. Kuldeep Surya feud. Angry Hardik Pandya, Suryakumar Yadav scold Kuldeep Yadav. Post-match scenes worry fans. An unexpected visual emerged from the R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo after India secured a thumping 61-run victory against Pakistan in the T20 World Cup 2026 Group A match on Sunday. It was Hardik Pandya who picked the final wicket of the game, helping the team bowl out Pakistan for just 114. As Indian players high-fived each other, shook hands and exchanged hugs, Hardik looked visibly miffed at Kuldeep Yadav. Even India captain Suryakumar Yadav said something to the spinner in an angry manner at the end of the game. In fact, Tilak Verma too looked concerned at Hardik's interaction with Kuldeep. The situation prompted Rinku Singh to intervene in an attempt to diffuse tensions. Though the matter doesn't seem too serious, Hardik and Suryakumar's frustration seemed to have stemmed from Kuldeep's dropped catch just moments before India wrapped up the Pakistan innings. Now, well, what followed that was an Insta post involving the skipper and Kuldeep recreating the incident with a hilarious audio insert from the movie Hera Fairy. So that has kind of fizzled out.
Well, let's unpack this, okay? You know that things are serious when Rinku Singh is having to come in the middle and try and sort out the situation. But we've seen this happen multiple times with Kuldeep Yadav, especially, right? He seems to not take his fielding too seriously, is what it seems from the outside. We've seen incidents where Rohit and Kohli, as recently as the Champions Trophy, even have absolutely lost their cool at Kuldeep. And it was a similar case here. It's funny because Ishan Kishan, the ball before that or somewhere
a couple of balls before that dropped a
sitter,
catch,
yeah. And that was okay. But when Kuldeep Yadav dropped it, they were fuming. It kind of takes you back.
Trying to do.
Oh, we're not trying to do anything. But it takes you back to like school cricket and stuff, because randomly your coach would get mad at one player, but he would not get mad at maybe his favorite player. Do you have any memories of something like that?
I have memories of me being angry at my batter, like my non-striker and batter, because it's just he was too angry that I was facing too many deliveries. And I remember having that was the only fight I've had on the field where I've fought with my non-striker end because he was complaining about taking too much strike. But I'm like, dude, just care about winning the match. Like, I was so surprised that was a conversation we were having. But that's the only fight in my head that I remember.
That reminds me of Yashasvi Jaiswal and how he takes a single on the last ball of a lot of overs. If you haven't noticed it, you 100% should. That's something to watch out for.
Yeah, and I don't think like fans realize that in the heat of the moment, a lot of people can get angry on the field, and that's absolutely fine. The fact that they made that post, the only reason they made that post is because they had to make sure that the fans knew it was nothing serious. Heat of the moment, anyone can be angry at anyone, and that's fine. That's what you're playing for the country, and that's what happens.
And there was also this hilarious content on offer. In the meanwhile, at Cricket by JB, Aswin and Praatibh never fight. You can try fueling that in the comment section. They wouldn't. Moving on, Lanka stun Australia. Nisanka's masterclass sends Sri Lanka into Super 8s. Australia on brink. Sri Lanka stormed into the next stage of the T20 World Cup with a sensational run chase, mowing down Australia's 182 with authority in Palekele. Pratham Nisanka produced a sublime 100, anchoring the chase with poise and precision, while Kusal Mendes struck his third successive 50 to set the tone. Kamendu Ratnanayake applied the finishing touches with a fearless boundary of Adam Zampa as Sri Lanka sealed victory with room to spare, becoming the fifth team to confirm their Super 8 berth. For Australia, it was another sobering night. Despite posting what Mitchell Marsh described as a competitive total, they managed just 2 wickets as Sri Lanka dictated terms throughout. The defeat leaves Australia relying on other results to stay alive, while Sri Lanka marched forward brimming with confidence after one of their finest run chases in recent World Cup history. Another meme insert, underground hone ka time aa gaya.
That was fair. That was very well done. Australia just crumbled for whatever reason, they just couldn't find momentum after being 104 for 1. They were 104 for 1 in 8.3 overs.
Yeah.
8.3 overs, which is insane.
Yeah.
They lost Travis Head. That was the first wicket. And from there, then when you look at the scorecard to 180 all out, that is insane. They lost 10 wickets in just 80 runs. That is not what you would expect after being 104 for 1 in just 8.3 overs. But that's exactly what happened. The Sri Lankan spinners came into play. They bowled extremely well. But more than that, if you remember the hook, where we talked about Nisanka's century and the record that he broke the record of scoring most number of runs and boundaries in a T20 World Cup game and went past Surya. Doing that, he scored 70 runs in just boundaries. And the way Sri Lanka constructed the innings is what stood out, because they simply outplayed Australia in all aspects yesterday, especially with the bat. Because not in any stage did they look in trouble with the bat. They were always scoring at more than 9 runs per over. Even when they lost that first wicket, they continued. Even after the first wicket, the next 3 deliveries were followed by 3 boundaries. And I think the next 2 deliveries were followed by boundaries. And that's the mindset Sri Lanka played with yesterday. It was so good to watch, because at no point did it look like Sri Lanka were the underdogs. Sri Lanka were dominating the game through and through, except for the 8.3 overs being 104 for 1. But after that, Sri Lanka was just dominating through and through. But what was interesting for me yesterday while watching the match was I didn't realize R. Sridhar, the former fielding coach of the Indian team, was the fielding coach of the Sri Lankan team. And he was celebrating with Surya, and I found that very odd, but it was very endearing knowing that, hey, he's getting an opportunity there.
Yeah. If
Vikram
anything,
Rathore as well.
Vikram Rathore was also there.
Yes.
It was very heartening also, because Nisanka took that brilliant catch at that was an absolute stunner.
So, if you guys haven't watched that catch of Maxwell reverse sweeping and Nisanka diving behind square leg, to get that catch,
both hands
fully
towards
stretched,
his left, was a really good catch. Coach Sridhar will be happy with that.
We'll get Cricket by JB to recreate that effort. They did it partially right now, but there's more to follow towards the end of the show. Italy-England cricket. Jack C. Star as England qualify for the Super 8s with a nervy win. England's nervy win over yet another associate opposition, Italy this time, preceded by a heavy defeat to West Indies, ensured their progress from Group C, but Harry Brooks' side will have to play far better than this to stand a chance of becoming the first team to win the Men's T20 World Cup 3 times. Italy ran them far too close for comfort at Eden Gardens, eventually bowled out for 178 in pursuit of 203. They were at one point 1 for 2 after Jofra Archer's first over, but destructive innings from their Australian-born all-rounders Ben Mananthi and Grant Stewart, who hit 11 sixes between them, made England sweat throughout their second innings. For the second time in 4 matches, England were indebted to a fine hand from Will Jacks at number 7. Against Nepal, Jacks launched 38 not out of 19 balls, including 3 final over sixes in a 4-run win. Against Italy, he belted the fastest half-century by an England player at a T20 World Cup, an innings that proved vital in another tight defence.
England are just doing England things, if I'm being very honest. For them to be able to run this close against associate nations just paints the state of, I'd like to say, England cricket in general, especially in the T20 format. They seem very confused, not only in terms of how to go about establishing their best batting order or their best batting template. You can also see that in the fact that it's been some of their lower order batters who've come in and saved them time and again in this World Cup. But even from a bowling perspective, you have a good bowling lineup. It's not like they're struggling to find bowlers. You have the likes of Jofra Archer, you have Adil Rashid, who's easily one of the best leg spinners out there in the current generation. But it just seems like they don't know in what order to be using them or with what synergy to be able to piece them together. Because at some point, you did say that Jofra Archer got that early wicket, but at some point, Italy were 22 for 3. And from there, you would expect England to be closing out that game every single day of the week. And from there, you had Ben Mananthi, who first took charge, and he smashed 60 of 25 deliveries. He took on Adil Rashid as well. And it just, England just looked helpless, to say the least. And even after Ben Mananthi got out, you thought, okay, finally, there will be some sort of reprieve. But the onslaught just continued, because after that, you had the likes of Grant Stewart also do some similar things, where he scored about 48 out of 24. And it got extremely close. There was a point when they needed 30 of 2 overs and they were 7 down, but with the kind of form that England were in, Italy, you still thought they had a chance. Everyone was watching. A lot of people were still placing their bets on the fact that maybe Italy could win this, but unfortunately for them, too many dot balls in the last over.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think people realize how important Adil Rashid is when it comes to England's bowling lineup. Adil Rashid, like Praatibh said, has been one of the best leg spinners in this generation anyways, but he's been the best bowler for England. And the fact that he has an economy of more than 9 in this World Cup, hasn't picked up a lot of wickets. There's something, that says something about the state of things with the bowling lineup. They need Adil Rashid to step up if they want to get very, very deep into this World Cup.
And guess who stepped up? A player who replaced Aswin in Karnataka age group squad, if I recall it correctly. Karnataka Supreme Padikkal slams 232. R. Smaran turns up as Karnataka slam UK. The juggernaut refuses to halt. Karnataka scoring 689 for 6 in 180 overs, having batted 2 full days against Uttarakhand in Lucknow. Devdutt Padikkal 232 and R. Smaran 121 unbeaten have ground the host into dust after KL Rahul scored 141 on day 1. Not too far away from the 1,000 runs that Cricket by JB predicted.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this yesterday. Karnataka just piling on a lot of runs, and that's exactly what they're doing. 689 runs is insane. I don't think Karnataka should continue batting on. I think they should just declare. But more than anything, a couple of things to talk about. Smaran, he's already scored his third first-class century this season. He has only 5 of them, and 3 of them have come this season. Devdutt's first double hundred in first-class cricket comes this season, comes in the semi-final, and comes as the captain. He's played 2 matches as captain. 1 match he scored a century, and the second as a double hundred. So something that will be important after this Ranji season will be a conversation about where is Devdutt in Indian cricket at the moment, because he's had a fantastic Vijay Hazare Trophy. He's the second highest run scorer. I think the highest run scorer this season in Vijay Hazare. He scored a lot of runs.
Apparently. Second,
right? So second highest, and he also has an average of close to 60, if not over 60 in list A cricket. In first class cricket, he's already scored a lot of runs. He's made his debut for the Indian team. He has a half century. And so where does he stand? Because he's scoring all of these runs. You already have Sai Sudarshan into the mix. It will be a conversation in the next team selection, and it's something we will of course talk about, because as much as we still think Devdutt does have a few technical flaws, he's still scoring a lot of runs, and so you would want him in the mix of things. It's not as if he's not scoring runs and getting selected. Now he is scoring runs. He's the captain of your first class team, and he's scoring double hundreds under pressure in knockout games. So he's capable enough to do all of this. But
and I mean, what's also going to be important is now, because the Ranji Trophy is going this way for him, from here on out, there's going to be Duleep Trophy. He scored runs for India A as well. So even on your Australia tours or your England tours, he has been able to get those half centuries. He has looked a lot more polished as compared to some of the other India A batters. The main thing is going to be that number 3 test spot, because Sai Sudarshan, remember that he did get that run, but he was also removed equally quickly. Then you had Jurel coming in. Jurel wasn't able to quite cement his spot at number 3. And then, of course, with India's love for potentially having a left-hander, because Gambhir is the coach and that conversation is always on, I wouldn't be surprised if the next test series, you just see Devdutt Padikkal firstly get picked for the squad, but also secondly, just be a player at number 3 starting in the 11.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
moving on to the other game in Ranji Trophy, JNK versus Bengal. JNK stars Samad, Dogra and Nabi keep them in hunt against Bengal. Abid Mushtaq and Kanhaiya Vadhavan ensured there was no further damage for JNK. At stumps after 2 days of action in Kalyani, JNK are 198 for 5, trailing by 130 runs. Shami and Mukesh had struck back-to-back, but Mushtaq and Vadhavan added 42 runs to stabilize their side. Early in the day, Akib Nabi stepped up once again with yet another 5-wicket haul, and captain Paras Dogra and Abdul Samad struck handsome half-centuries to rescue Jammu and Kashmir from a mini collapse.
Now, there's a couple of things to unpack here, right? Firstly, we've been talking about Akib Nabi as is. It feels like he's been grabbing every single headline that's related to domestic cricket. This is his 3rd straight 5-wicket haul or more in an innings in the Ranji Trophy, and crucial matches at that. He's got it in the quarters. He's getting it in the semis now. But we'll come back to him a little later, because at this point, you just expect Nabi to do Nabi things. True. That's how I'll put it. But even from there, if you just look at how JNK were doing, right? They were in a spot of bother. I'm trying to find the score. So coming in at 13 for 3, that's when Paras Dogra walked in. And just to give you a little bit of trivia, this man becomes only the 2nd player in Ranji Trophy history to get to 10,000 runs in the Ranji Trophy. Of course, Jaffer being the first one. But that's not even the most insane bit, because this man has been around since the time Ashwin and I were just 1 year old. So he's been in the Ranji Trophy since 2001,
which is insane.
which is insane. And he's still playing 25 years on. He's still here. He's still scoring runs for Jammu and Kashmir. He's 41. So it's not like he's getting younger by the day, but it clearly seems that he's cracked the format. He's cracked how to score those runs. He's always been a heavy run scorer in the 2000s up until 2016. Then he's moved around a bit. Now come back to Jammu and Kashmir. And for him to be there, along with the fact that Abdul Samad was also able to get those runs, because Samad is someone that we've spoken about for so many years. He's one of those stars that just has not been able to show his full potential. And to have someone like Paras Dogra at the other end, it's important in just the development of players like this. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to give you a little perspective, like he's played Ranji Trophy with the Sachins, Ganglis, Lakshmans, Dravids, and he's still playing with Devdutt, Sai Sudarshan and all of that. Like, it's been that long and he's still playing Ranji Trophy. He's also played in an era. I mean, he hasn't played international cricket. He scored 10,000 runs and hasn't played international cricket. But he's also played at a time when Shane Warne was playing cricket. And Dhoni hadn't even made his debut for the Indian team. And Dhoni's retired. And he's still playing Ranji Trophy cricket. Like, that should give you a perspective on how long it's been. It's insane how... I mean, the fact that he scored 10,000 runs shows consistency. It's unfortunate he hasn't played for the Indian team. There are a lot of cases in the Ranji Trophy where a lot of people... a lot of people have scored a lot of runs, taken a lot of wickets, but they haven't unfortunately played.
Such is life.
Including Amol Majumdar. By the way, Dhoni hasn't retired from the IPL. So
definitely not.
Definitely not. But we'd definitely be moving on to the final story of the day, which is a meme. And that meme features Nasir Hussain. Do I need to say more? It's self-explanatory right in front of you.
Yeah, Nasir Hussain has been getting a lot of flack off late. And I feel bad for him because it's not like he's being too harsh on anybody. I like this meme, but then it's also understandable. Like, India not traveling to Pakistan was a decision taken by the Indian government, which is also why they had to go and stay in Dubai. And then they played in just one ground and did not have to travel. What you might say, whatever you are as an Indian fan, but that was advantage India, like just outright. And then Pakistan not traveling to India is again a decision taken by the Indian government. And so that's why Pakistan has to play all their matches in Sri Lanka. That it is advantage Sri Lanka, but it's a decision taken by India. So it's not like you can then say Pakistan has an advantage. If anything,
I mean, there's always multiple sides, and especially when you come with such a polarized opinion, because Nasir isn't one to mince his words. Even, in fact, Atherton in a very recent article talked about how India-Pakistan fixtures are so lopsided that it's just become boring and crass at this point. So I'm glad that they're speaking their mind. And when you speak your mind, obviously there's going to be two sides. There's always going to be trolls. But I don't think Nasir Hussain's going to be too worried about something like this. And yeah, there's not really much more to add here except for the fact that wars are always going to go on. Not geopolitical wars. Troll wars is what I meant. But yeah.
Yeah, and they also had this interview. They also had this podcast, Sky's podcast with Atherton and Nasir Hussain, where they were talking about how if it was India, they would have probably got preferential treatment if India were in Bangladesh's place. And I saw a lot of people on Reddit and Twitter talking about how they're talking about this to get a lot more clicks, which is fair. I mean, of course, you would talk about India because India being the richest board and the most popular country in cricket, you would want clicks. That's what you would do as a content creator, and that's what they're doing as making content. But they are also not wrong. Like, if you think if India was in Bangladesh's place, that India wouldn't get preferential treatment, then you might be living a lie, because we would 100% get preferential treatment.
Money speaks, and on the queue of clicks, if you made it this far, definitely hit that like button. And yeah, I think that's about it. We won't be able to hit the 0-0 timer on this because we'll just be rambling on. But we can get to the outro. We can get to the parts where we talk about the day's games. And it's going to be an interesting day's cricket. Firstly, you have Canada taking on New Zealand. I would like to say that this is a fairly one-sided fixture. If New Zealand managed to boss this up, salute to the side. Ireland taking on Zimbabwe. It's going to be interesting. Zimbabwe is already through. And in fact, they've played the least number of games, I think, in the group
Don't
itself.
think Zimbabwe is already through. Zimbabwe could lose this game and Australia could win the next
Yeah.
game, and then
So it's going to come down to those.
Yeah, so
net
Australia
run rate.
would want Ireland to win this game. Yeah, whereas Zimbabwe would want
I
Zimbabwe to
would,
win.
I would actually like to see Zimbabwe win. I
Yeah.
just feel like they have a really good story this time around. They have the side to do it.
Yeah.
They have all the good bowlers. And the last fixture is Nepal versus Scotland. Uh, Again, that's probably going to be a more even fixture as compared to the first fixture, at least.
Megha, yesterday you predicted Australia winning against Sri Lanka, yet here we are. We'll come back to you with Ireland and Zimbabwe. Who do you think is going to take the win?
You know, I'm done with my share of predictions, but I definitely make this point. Zimbabwe in the 2022 edition of the World Cup defeated Pakistan, spiced up the group, although eventually Pakistan did make it to the next round and subsequently to the finals. Missed out on qualifying for the previous edition 2024, and here they are again. Almost on the verge of knocking Australia out at the very
True.
first stage. So they just know how to spoil the party and how to create more excitement at the very initial stage of the World Cup. Between the two of the teams, I feel like Zimbabwe would obviously be buzzing with excitement, having upsetted Australia. So I would give them a bit more of a chance. But then, considering how things have been this week, with predictions for me, I'd keep quiet.
Hopefully, for the sake of cricket, you are right, and Zimbabwe win, and Australia are knocked out. Now, if you want to know what happens in this match, and if you want to know more about what happens today, come back tomorrow at 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. to wake up cricket, powered by Pavilion Picks. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hit that subscribe button. Get us close to get us 200.
Get us
subs.
200
Yeah,
subs,
we're
yeah.
close to 100 subs. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys tomorrow.